Hello, Year 5, Miss Warren here. I hope you are all well and welcome to Tuesday's lesson for guided reading. Now again, we're going to be using the text Cosmic to help us answer questions, and we're going to be specifically looking at today the skill focus of vocabulary and how we can use the text to answer some questions. Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is your second session for guided reading, and we're going to explore the meaning of words in context. Your starter activity is to match the synonyms. Now, these are words that are similar or have a related meaning to another word. So I'm going to read all the words out for you. So we've got frigid, dark, charming, immense, hot, cold, big, sweltering, nice, and caliginous. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to write down one of the words, and I want you to try and find the synonym to the word. So there are 5 words with 5 synonyms. So pause the video here. It's now your turn to find the synonyms for the words. Okay, welcome back. Hope you had some time to match your synonyms, and now it's time to check through. So frigid also means cold, immense also means big, charming also means nice, hot also means sweltering, and dark also means caliginous. Okay, now let's move on. So over the week, we're going to be looking at the skill of vocabulary. But what are the key skills when using this technique? Pause the video here and have a think about what we might need to do when we're using the skill of vocabulary when identifying features in texts. Okay, welcome back. Hope you had some time to think about the key skills, and these are the key skills for vocabulary. Now, we need to read around to learn the context and clues. We need to read around the text. So if there's a word in the text we're not sure about, read around it to see if we can try and figure out what it might mean. And then also, like we did for the starter task, think of synonyms. So if you're not sure about what the word could mean, have a look for synonyms for that word. Now, I'm going to reread the text for you, and as I'm reading it, I'm going to miss out a few words out. I want you to write down the words I don't say, just so I know you are following along with me whilst I'm reading this. Mum got really stressed about the whole thing. Liam, she saying, what are we going to do with you? Dad looked on the internet for groups, for people with unusual problems. About an hour later, he came back and said, what about this? Popular coast resort, Tunisia, £150 a head. A bit far, said Mum. I was hoping there'd be a group in the library. No, I'm talking about That's what we need, isn't it? The 3 of us, go somewhere no one knows us, and just unwind. I was completely excited about this. I'd never been abroad before. I spent the whole week reading holiday brochures, and I even went with Mum and Dad to the travel agent, which was a disaster. Because when I got completely excited, I talked too much. For instance, when was mentioned, I said, yes, 4-star accommodation, all meals, and we could go and see the Sahara Desert. Mum said, the Sahara Desert? You are joking. The Sahara Desert is people get lost in. They starve to death, they see mirages, and they even get eaten alive by ants. Oh, no, we are not going to a desert. The travel agent woman said, if you did choose the optional desert excursion, Mrs. Digby, you would be accompanied by our trained local staff in a fully air-conditioned coach. It's a very well-organised trip. No one ever, said Mum, intends to get eaten alive by... But accidents happen, especially in the Sahara Desert. What else have you got? Tenerife is already quite warm, although it's politically part of Spain. The island of Tenerife is off the coast of Africa and is therefore hot all the year round, especially in the. It's more rainy in the because of its big pointy mountain in the middle of the island. It's so tall it has snow on top, even in the summer. It's called Teide. Mum looked interested when I told all of this. I probably should have stopped just there and not gone on to mention that Teide isn't an mountain. A volcano, said Mum. An extinct volcano, said the woman from the travel agent very quickly. Extinct or, said Mum, surprising everyone with her unexpected geological knowledge. What's the difference? Asked the travel agent lady. The difference, said Mum, between life and death. The travel agent woman held up a brochure for Florida. Very popular, she smiled without going into detail. Mum looked at me. I said. She looked at the travel agent, who just kept. She looked at Dad. He tried to keep smiling too, But she raised an eyebrow, and he just can't cope with that. In the end, he admitted. After that, there was Turkey, earthquakes, Cyprus, poisonous triggerfish, Italy, the mafia, and shipwrecks. Then we were standing outside the shop with Mum, taking a deep breath and saying, I haven't even gone anywhere, and I'm already glad to be home. Okay, hopefully you managed to identify the words I missed when I was reading and you wrote them down for me. Can you read these tricky words? I'm going to read them out and then I want you to repeat after me. Dormant, mirages, extinct, accommodation, excursions. Now, what is the root word in politically? That's right, it's political. And what is the spelling rule we can see in the word admitted? That's right, it's the ed ending. Well done. Okay, so we are now going to say it, shout it, whisper it, clap it, act it, and use it in a sentence. Now, some of you yesterday were able to define some of these tricky words on here. So I'm just going to go through and just define what they all mean. So when you go to use it in a sentence, you definitely know how to use it in a sentence. So accommodation is a group of rooms in a building which someone lives or stays or visits for a period of time. Dormant means currently not active or in a deep sleep. You have excursions, which is kind of a journey or a trip. So extinct, there are two different meanings for extinct. If we talk about anything that's alive, it means there's no longer any kind of living family members or there is no existence of it anymore. So for example, like dodo birds or dinosaurs. And then obviously if we talk about extinct in a volcano way, it means it's never erupted in history. So the difference between a dormant volcano is it has already erupted, but we don't know when it's going to erupt again. And extinct means it's never erupted in history. A mirage is kind of an optical illusion. It causes the appearance of water. So when you are dehydrated, typically they say that you can see a mirage, which is an unrealistic vision, so an optical illusion. So we're now going to go through them all and we're going to say it, shout it, whisper it, clap it, act it, and then use it in a sentence. So accommodation, dormant, excursions, extinct, mirages, accommodation, dormant, excursions, extinct, mirages, accommodation, dormant, excursions, extinct, mirages. Clap it. Accommodation, dormant, excursions, extinct, mirages. Obviously you can't see my acting. And then I want you to try and use it in a sentence. Now I'm not going to write any sentences down yet, so I'd like to see what you send to the Year 5 email for your sentences. So the first question, so it's my turn, I'm going to find a word that means the same as relax in this piece of text. So I'm just going to read through it again. No, I'm talking about a holiday. That's what we need, isn't it? The three of us go somewhere no one knows us and just unwind. Okay, well now I'm thinking about the word relax. What do we do when we go to relax? We calm down, we take some time to ourselves. Let's have a think about a word in that text that could mean the same as relax. I think it's unwind. So the next question is, from this piece of text, find a phrase that means the same as you are not being serious. Okay, when I think about you're not being serious, it means a bit like I don't believe them, I'm surprised by what someone has said, I'm in a bit of disbelief. So I'm going to have a read again of this text. Now I'd like you to read it out first and have a think about which phrase, that is a group of words, means the same as you are not being serious. Pause the video here and try and find the phrase for me. Okay, welcome back. Hope you found the phrase that means the same as you are not being serious. And I thought it was you were joking, because that almost is literally another way of saying you're not being serious. You are joking, aren't you? So here's my answer. So when I'm thinking about this now, when I'm thinking about my answer, I'm going to think about the comparison between the two. So you are not being serious and you are joking has a similar meaning because obviously you say it when you're surprised about something or in a bit of disbelief. So I'm going to have you are joking. Can you see around you are joking? I've got speech marks because the reason why we do that is because when we're taking a quote from the text, it's not my actual writing. So I'm going to put quote marks around it because it shows that it's from the text. So you are joking has the same meaning as you are not being serious, as they are both something you say to show that you are surprised by what someone has said. So that is my answer for that question. Okay, now it's your turn to answer this question. What does brochures mean from this piece of text? Now, if you're not sure about what this word might mean, read around the text first. Read the entire sentence to see if you can try and figure out what this word might mean. So what I want you to do now is I want you to pause the video here, write down your answer for this question, a bit like how I answered the previous question. So you say, I think brochures means because, and give me reasons using the text. Now pause the video here and write down your answer. Okay, welcome back. Hope you've had some time to think about this question. And now it's time to check through. Now, the answer that I wrote down was brochures means a book or magazine containing pictures and information about, for this instance, a holiday. We can have brochures for a variety of different things. However, in this piece of text, they are specifically looking at holiday brochures. Hopefully you've answered all those questions correctly, and I can't wait to see what you send into the Year 5 email. And I'll see you.
Okay, I'm now going to carry on reading Cosmic. You might want to get a bit cosy because it's a bit cold at the moment, in a blanket. And remember, the last time I read to you was that Liam's dad had deleted the message. Okay. We walked home past a shopping centre. I looked up, but you couldn't see any stars. I remember thinking I'll probably never get out of Bootle as long as I live. It's funny to think I am now at this moment further away from Bootle than any other living human. That night, Dad wanted us all to play Monopoly in the new kitchen. Monopoly! Has anyone ever played Monopoly to the end? Don't most people just slip into a kind of boredom coma after a few goes and wake up 6 months later with a handful of warm hotels? If it had been Risk or Cluedo, that would have been something. But Monopoly. Sit down, he said. It'll be nice, all of us together. We haven't played a game for ages. I said, Monopoly is not a game. Well, here's a dice and here's the board. How is that not a game? It's not a game because nothing is happening. In Monopoly, you can ask someone else to take your go for you whilst you go to the toilet and it wouldn't make any difference. Can you imagine asking someone else to take your go in chess or Risk or football? I'll tell you what Monopoly is. Monopoly is my life. Going round and round the same streets over and over again with not enough money. So, said Dad, you don't want to play then? No, I don't. I got up. I was going to play a few hours of Warcraft. It's always an anticlimax, said Mum, when you're in a play or something and then it ends. You don't want to play a little game of Monopoly with your real live Mum and Dad, said Dad, but you'll play all night with your invisible Warcraft friends. I haven't got any real life friends left, have I? Maybe you would have if you weren't always coaxing them into illegal situations involving them in high-powered sports cars. Oh, now, said Mum, he isn't always doing that. He only did that once. And isn't once enough? They were still discussing this when I logged into Azeroth and summoned my guild, the Wanderless Warriors. We were crossing the blasted lands with a caravan of traders when the door opened and Dad looked in. Listen, he said, I'm sorry about earlier. If you don't want to play Monopoly, that's fine. I'll play Warcraft. Oh, thanks, but it doesn't really work like that. How does it work then? So I tried to explain Warcraft to Dad, but honestly, where do you begin? He didn't even know what an avatar was. I said, like when we play Monopoly and you are always the top hat. Well, it's like that, only more complicated. That's me on the screen. Look, that Alf there. He squinted at the screen. There were hundreds of avatars across the vast desert of the blasted lands. I showed him which one was mine and I introduced him to all of my other guild members. We're mostly very heavily armed night elves. I think he was impressed. You see, I said, in Monopoly you get as much money as you can, right? And that's it. In here, you have to get money and health and experience and skills, and then you use them for a quest. What kind of quests? Well, there's all kinds. Some of them are dangerous and complicated, and some are simple. And you meet hazards and monsters, sometimes serious monsters, so you run away or get help, and sometimes trivial monsters, so you fight them. And if you complete the quest, you gain experience and new skills and maybe some more strength and wealth. So then you can level up. What? See, I'm a level 40 elf. What I want to be is a level 70 elf. Then I can engage with really serious monsters. When you engage, that's called an instance. We're having a bit of an instance right now with this dragon. The dragon had ambushed us, but the Wanderlust warriors stood their ground and fought like a well-oiled machine. Soon the dragon was dead. So were two of my warriors, but that was okay because I've got healing powers. I brought them back to life and we looted the dragon's hoard. That's what was happening in my head. Of course to Dad it looked like I was sitting there clicking the mouse so fast it sounded like castanets. "Cosmic," I yelled. "Look what I found! Elixir of the Mages. If you use that just before an instance, it doubles your brain power." "This," said Dad, "is not a game. This is a career. But it's good on here because people just accept you for who you are. Namely, an elf with magical healing powers. Is that what you really are, Liam?" "No, but in-game, if I have experience and strength and stuff, I can go out on quests and do things. In life, you can look like a grown-up and shave like a grown-up and be gifted and talented and everything, and you've still got to sit in class full of kids who call you Freak and Wolverine and stuff." Dad nodded his head like it all made sense to him. Then he got my profile up so he could have a proper look at my avatar. "It says here he's shorter than average. If you're shorter, you get extra agility, plus you can sneak up on people." Dad said, "A shorter than average magical being with lots of friends. Well, that's a very nice avatar. Good night." I did offer to tell him something about the history of Azeroth and who Horde were and about the Alliance, but he said, "That's enough for one night. Thanks all the same. You get back to your quest. Don't stay up too late. You've got school." It was only when he'd gone that I'd noticed he'd left his phone on my desk, and only when I picked it up I remembered that my phone was a clone of his, so the number he deleted from my inbox should be still there on his. It was. I copied it back into my phone. Okay, we're now on the next chapter, so when we come back tomorrow's lesson, I'm going to carry on reading to the next chapter, which is I Am on Hold. I wonder what that could be all about. Right, I hope you enjoyed today's guided reading lesson, and I shall see you tomorrow for another one. Stay safe, everyone.